I am about to welcome my dream Lamborghini here to the Shmuseum, but no, not that one. Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello, and welcome back to the channel where we have an absence of a raging bull here in the garage, and it's time to fix that. It's been a few months since I sold my Lamborghini Huracan STO. Farewell STO. But today we're going to be welcoming a guest car that will be here for the next couple of months. A car that very long-term viewers will know is very special to myself and to the Shmee on 50 channel, and I can't wait for what is about to turn up. I've just got to say, after a couple of days of not feeling very well, today I had to get out of bed. This is an exciting one, but I apologise if I lose my voice at some point. Anyway, here at the Shmuseum, we've had a few guest cars come to visit over the years, from the Gunther Works and Novatec 812 GTS at the very start, to the classic 911 that was here for a period. We had the two Lotus, the first and final Elises. We've had Jordan's green 812 Superfast. At the moment, we have Max's Jag XJ220S. The latest in the line will be the car that's coming today, but always fun to be able to share a little bit more of the experience of different cars, especially when today's is one I'm going to be very envious of and dreaming of having in the collection at some point in the future. But of course, oddly, I don't currently own a Lamborghini, and I know when I sold the STO, the car that I'd originally bought in its bright viola bast, we then added all of the yellow accents, changed them to be white instead. We've had underglow on it. I know a lot of people were sad to see it go, but I actually had that car for over 2 years. I'm sure it's not going to be the last Lamborghini to ever be officially a Shmeemobile, but for the time being, while we're waiting for what does come next, today's is pretty cool. The first plan today is that after just taking the GT8 to the Aston dealer for a service, I decided to book in the Vantage Roadster. Now, it's a funny one with this car because when these things are new, you do it every year on the button, regardless of the amount of mileage. That's done very few miles over the last 2 years, so it hasn't actually had one. It had a big overhaul when we took it up to McGurk, but today we're going to take it for effectively oil change, filter, etc. So to do that, I need to pull out the GT8, pull down the lift, and then take the Vantage Roadster over. There's just one thing that I should have thought about before, which I'll explain in a moment. Time to lower this then, bring it down. Well, you always go up ever so slightly, and then you come all the way down with the auto stacker. This system is still brilliant. Obviously 2.5 years in now, but could not be happier with these lifts. And it's time to go take this for a short drive. This is my mistake though, and it's quite an unusual mistake I don't actually make very often. Inside here, we have this lovely Sandstorm beige leather interior. And for some reason, I thought it would be a good idea to wear jeans today. Don't do that. It's not good. It's not good at all. It's a short journey. I think we'll be okay. If it was a longer one, I'd be grabbing a rag of some description to sit on right now. But let me step in here, start this, and pull it off. Like I said, I might not drive this car all that much anymore, but it's not really about that. This is a very special car to me personally, the OG Shmeemobile. So every time I do drive it, it's all of those memories that come flooding back of the first videos, of the first adventures, the first events really, that I ever took this thing to, and felt like I was able to hang out with the supercars and shoot the videos that I shoot. Now, obviously today, I think you can probably tell I'm a little bit under the weather, but I wanted to take this in, and I can't wait for what's coming a little bit later on. So while it might be a bit cold and yeah, chilly out there, we're taking it to a very familiar location recently. I feel like we spent a lot of time at the area in Hatfield with all of the dealerships, but we'll go drop this off, having, as I said, picked up the GT8 from its service, which was done straight after taking it to Scotland and back, thankfully without any major concerns from the issues that it had thrown up. This has nothing of note. I think it's literally done about 250, maybe 300 miles since the last service, but it did actually get seen by this dealer in their previous location when I owned it 12 years ago, maybe 13 years ago. So quite fun to have it run back through their books again, and we'll go from there. It is actually quite funny to think, this is now a 15-year-old car. It's a 15-year-old car that's worth 40-something thousand pounds. It's a lot of car for the money. I mean, this was just shy of 110,000 pounds new, obviously back then, and these cars depreciated heavily. When I bought it at 1 year old, it was about 35,000 less than its new price, which is one of the reasons why it was so attractive to me, to be completely honest, back then, to jump into this. Yes, it depreciated a load more in the years that followed, but it's got a V8 that sounds amazing. It's really comfortable. The seats are super cushy, perhaps too much by modern standards, but it makes it a really nice thing to just go and drive. The automated manual gearbox takes some getting used to. You've got to fluctuate the throttle pedal, but I think this is something down the line we might actually look back at more positively than we do now. Now it feels like a less good double clutch, but in the future it might feel more akin to a manual, and obviously you see what prices of anything manual has done in recent times, and there's clearly a big demand for that type of thing. But I quite like it, and it's all of those familiar sounds, familiar noises, familiar feelings from back in the day, and it all runs really well. There's nothing I can point at and say, that's broken, that needs fixing. I'm sure the dealer will find something underneath, but it's in pretty sharp shape. It's good. And we are back. I feel like we've done this a few times recently, but hey, it is part and parcel of owning these kinds of cars that you are frequently bringing them to service and making sure they are fully up and running. There's a nice Vanquish there. Original Vanquish. Old school, throwing it back. Right, let me park it just in here. Go hand over the key and we will head back to the barn in a minute. I mean, look at it. This is one pretty looking car. Certainly a day like today, and with the way I'm feeling, not a day for driving with the roof down. Otherwise, here in the United Kingdom, any day when it's not raining is a day for the roof down. Heated seats on, hot air blasting. Alas, not right now. Anyway, let me go hand this over and then we'll hop into the van for our journey home. Before we have the backstory of today's special delivery, over the last 12 months or so, I've had more than my fair share of tyre issues, from punctures to low pressures, and of course we regularly check all of the cars, make sure tyres are inflated properly, but sometimes you get a nail in the tyre just when you don't want it. Well, I guess you never really want it, but I'd like to say thank you at this point to the sponsor of today's video, AstroAI, and their portable car air pump. Now, of course, these are absolutely crucial to my life recently and to making sure that we can keep out on the road. And the beauty of a portable pump that's as small as this is that, for example, in the boot of the car, this can actually just squeeze in down at the side, even here at the boot, just like that, pop away the cables neatly and you're good to go. But also with plenty of other features as well. If I pull this out, because I suspect we might need to check the pressure of this tyre. There are some unscrupulous individuals around. It could potentially be a little bit lower than it should. Let's find out. So if I just unwind the cable here, I'm going to turn on the ignition in the car and power this up so you can see exactly how it is working. We will check what the tyre pressure of this corner might now be. Plug that in, turn on the ignition. Yep, is that on? We are now on, and we'll close the door just for the moment. As you can see, we've got the backlit screen, so you can set it to the desired PSI. On the Focus, we're going with 42 PSI all around at the moment. Of course, for storage, you'd want the pressures slightly higher, but if I plug this in down here with the handy attachment, we will be able to see, clip that in, what are we down to? 26 PSI. Good thing we're checking. It can go from 0 all the way up to 30 in just 60 seconds. And we've got a flashlight as well to help if you're in a darker situation. But look at that, already quickly up towards 30. We'll get it all the way to 42 and make sure we're good to go back on the road. And there we go, we have reached 42 PSI auto cutout, the desired pressure. The inflator also benefits from AstroAI's tough ultra technology, which is a powder metallurgy integrated molding technique to make the core parts, like the cylinders, motor gears and connection rods, much more durable to increase its service lifespan, as we all know how much of a beating these things can get. With this all done, switch it off, unplug from here, pop the valve cap back on as well, and get ready to go and store this away. It comes also with a 2-year warranty, plus I'll pop all of the information down below, including a discount should you wish to purchase one of AstroAI's portable car pumps. For now, let's stow this away. I can tell you, keeping on top of tire pressures, very important to make sure these things are running well. This brings us to what's about to arrive. And yes, of course, there is quite the backstory to tell you about, although there have been some clues. The colour of the top I'm wearing, for example. But almost to the day, 14 years ago, is where this story begins. The 18th of January, 2010, and my first ever YouTube video. Now, some of the OG viewers will remember this one. If you're not familiar, let me tell you all about it. It was when I filmed a Ferrari 458 Italia and a Lamborghini Murcielago LP670 SV, the Super Veloce. The two cars were at Bibendum in London, a restaurant hosting the Top Gear magazine awards dinner that night. The two brand new Italian supercars, one of the first times they'd actually even been into the United Kingdom. I shot a video, uploaded it, and little did I know back then where that was going to go down the line. I've mentioned on a number of occasions that one day I would love to have a Rosso Corsa 458 and an Arancio Atlas Murci SV because of that original video. Now, obviously in the early years of the channel, Murci SVs were the most epic of cars, and I will never forget filming just one after another in central London, car spotting, pink, purple, light blue, all sorts of different colour configurations. But I only drove one for the first time in 2019 at Road Atlanta in the United States, on track, the most epic of experiences. And that was one of those meeting the heroes things. You sit awkwardly, it makes no sense, it's not massively fast by modern supercar standards, but such an icon. I then drove another one back in Georgia, as it happens, with my friend Ed Bolian of VinWiki, when he had purchased the red car, got it fixed up, and was out driving with that, which he then coincidentally sold to Houston of Royalty Exotics, and I saw it over in Las Vegas at the end of last year as well when we were visiting. But Murci SVs just have something about them. Iconic cars, the more focused, dynamic version of the Murcielago. Arguably that makes very little sense given it's an awkward car to begin with. There have been some really interesting stories around them from the number that were even produced. It was quoted at 350. For many years, people thought it was only 185 that were actually made. Then VINs started coming in and people worked out a little bit more. But when you go to exclusive car registry, you can find out all of the information. As I often say, I check out on ECR to know what I'm talking about when it comes to limited, rare, exclusive cars, to know about them all. So for me, the Murci SV, from the first video to my first compilations of car spotting to the experiences I've had, has always been a halo car. It's always been the ultimate Lamborghini. There's something about the Murcielago, certainly right now, and the poster car generation, just a bit rawer, a bit less modernized than the Aventador and certainly than the Revuelto, obviously as the generations have progressed. But that V12 Lambo, the doors, the looks, the excitement, the everything. So very shortly, we are going to be welcoming an Arancio Atlas Lamborghini Murcielago SV here to the Shmuseum. This is exciting then. In comes the trailer, which we are about to unload. So in a second, we will open this up and you shall see what is inside. Here we go then. Oh yes. Look at that. Inside. We are going to get this pulled out and unloaded in just a moment, but that is quite something. What a machine. Listen to that. Big wing. Amazing. I'm not gonna lie, I have been looking forward to the day when we would see an Arancio Atlas Murcielago SV arriving right here. And that is happening. Look at this, obviously lift system up at the moment. What an amazing car, iconic of its era. Oh, perfect. Absolutely perfect. A UFO is a very accurate way of describing this. That's not the only car here right now though, because we are joined by Richard from Challenge the Road with the CTR Vantage and of course the Murci SV, but we're going to be talking about both of these to explain what's going on. Richard, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Tim.
Absolute pleasure, and this, I have to say, is a very special Vantage.
Yeah, I absolutely love building these cars. Obviously, own lots of Vantages in the past, up to the GT8 like you had, but I wanted to make my own version, maybe lighter, maybe a bit faster, better handling.
So we're going to talk all about this because there's a lot more than even immediately meets the eye, and the fact that it's midnight blue, which is the colour of my former DBS as well. But I think before we get into that, shall we come to the Lambo? Let's talk Lambo, because I know that the Murci SV is a car that's, well, clearly very special to you. You've owned this car for 5-6 years or so. Where did that begin for you? Come on, let's talk about it.
Yeah, well, I went to VVS and I saw the car in there, and I'd never seen an SV before. It's the sort of car that you just don't really see because they were so limited. If you think back, I think it was funny because it says 350, but it was never 350, was it? Was it sort of 250 made? It's
an interesting topic. The numbers have often been discussed, how many it actually ended up being. But certainly here in the UK, what was the original number? About 15 cars or something?
Right, okay. So, yeah, well, I think it was only 6.
Was it only 6?
6 UK, because I think there's only 3 or 4 left, because when Evo done the driving of one of the cars, they crashed it in the car of the year.
Oh, that's
so that
awkward.
was one there. So, and then I heard another one got crashed. So we're sort of 3 or 4 left. But I mean, I saw the car and thought, wow, what a car. But my favourite car was an F40. But they were a lot more to buy. So I was able to have the SV, and watching all the videos of like yourself, your first video, Richard Hammond at Dubai. I think that's just, I still watch that now. Because obviously in the winter I'm not driving the car, so I'm just watching the videos. But what Dan said to me was, he said, Richard, it's going to be really good to drive. And I wasn't sure because a lot of the videos I'd seen, the driving's off centre, it's a very hard seat, this type of thing. But actually it was tremendous to drive. And the engine is just phenomenal. And when I look at a lot of the videos now, there's a lot of people like yourselves and that using these cars and saying the engine's one of the greatest ever. Yeah. Do you want to have a look at it?
I was going to say,
we
should pop that open. This car is in immaculate shape, I gotta say. It is looking stunning.
Let's just turn that beep on.
I was gonna say, it is a Murci, it does do that.
Yeah, they beep all the time.
I'll have to get some instructions from you about the immobilizer and
but you
stuff.
see, it's not level, obviously. So
yeah, it's that whole like offset.
Goes up, to, obviously as you're driving, then it levels back out. But,
interesting.
And then you're changing gear and you can see through that back how close you are to the engine when you're sitting in it. But yeah, it's right very clean, isn't it?
It's right on the bulkhead.
Yeah.
Got the plaque with the firing order of the 12 cylinders, 6.5 litres of V12. But this was like, it's funny now because so many cars have a big wing like this and exposed carbon fibre, but this was like the early stages of that.
Well, I developed one for the Vantage, which I've got actually in the garage, and it's similar to this, almost like an STO one with the sides. Because back then they didn't have sides like they do now.
The end plate kind of thing.
But yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, I do love this sort of triple layer orange metallic.
So when you were thinking of buying it, was it for you this colour or nothing, or was it kind of?
No, it was more, I was trying to look for cars that I thought would potentially go up in value. You know, that was sort of where, sort of 2013 onwards, how I started to collect cars. And I knew it was limited. And then when I found out it was more limited than I thought, well, I've got to come in at some point.
Yeah.
And then obviously since then, they've seen a huge rise in value.
I mean, the demand for Murcielagos in general. I think people always thought that there would have been as many of them as there are Aventadors.
Yeah.
But it's a small fraction. The Aventador really changed things for Lamborghini, and it makes you realise how rare something like this is.
I had the Aventador actually, an early 2012 car, and I much prefer the Murcielago because I found the steering was very odd on the Aventador. But I haven't driven the more modern SVJs and that. So
yeah, I mean, when you rewind back, even if it was the full 350 of these, of the Aventador SVs, 600 coupes, 500 roadsters, SVJs, 900 coupes, 800 roadsters, plus a load of others. Like this,
it's a bit like limited edition Porsches now. They're not limited, are they?
No,
because there's just so many. You know?
This is a very different thing. Proper Lambo doors, and inside. I mean, my obviously I've been lucky to drive a couple of these before, and you're seated in this kind of slightly wonky offset position, which is all over the place.
I love the stitching through the headlining.
Yeah, this is
so
nice.
It follows up through. I think that's really.
Oh yeah.
Do you see? Yeah, really cool.
That's very cool. The Lamborghini Ypsilon shapes up through the roof.
I think
seats are cool.
The feeling of this car when you're in it is like no other car because it goes right through your body. Because you said like the bulkhead's right next to you, so your feeling of adrenaline is sort of the highest of probably near my Lancia rally car.
Yeah.
Where you get that sense that you're really in something that is like it's a wild animal. You know, you're trying to tame it all the time, but also it wants to go. And I actually don't mind the gearbox. You know, at high revs, I think it feels really good. But I'm used to Scuderia and
but automated manuals. I mean, I've literally just been driving my Vantage Roadster, which is the same type of technology, the automated manual.
But I just feel. I mean, you know what's funny on the back? You notice like. These are not, it's not sort of square. You see the wheels next to, just strange things as you have the car, you think, why is that so far over there?
Because Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Because Lamborghini.
And each side is different, like this is a different intake to the other side.
Is it actually?
Yeah, so it's just little things that you...
I have to be honest, I hadn't noticed that before. Those are slightly different shapes.
Yeah, so...
That's crazy. Now here you've got the solid bit.
Yeah.
Wait, I need to... This is tripping me out. I never noticed that before.
Yeah. You see, just little things you pick up all the time on the cars.
That's fascinating. It was such a different era, but like this is the, that wedge, that single shape design over the top of one car. And in here, the colour, it's gorgeous.
I mean, I love Diablo as well. I mean, I think the Diablo shape that's sort of been on my list of, an SV, it feels really special, this car, and it does feel like a raging bull.
Completely.
So, because cars have a soul, and this has got a really big soul, this car. Well, when you drive it, when it gets a bit warmer.
Yeah, not today, it's negative outside.
Also, the tyres are strange, because I asked for new tyres, but they're still like 2030, the original type of tyre from Pirelli. So that I thought I'd be getting a newer material.
Yeah, but they're still old and plasticky.
Yeah, they're sort of new old.
So you need to be careful with it. We haven't really explained why it's gracing the Shmuseum with its presence for a short while.
Yeah, well, I've got to thank you because, I'm trying to have my own sort of museum interpretation of what you have here, and I'm run out of space, and obviously I'm moving house as well, so I gave you a message.
You're like, could you by any chance look after it? And I'm like, let me think about that.
Yeah, it was about 1 second when you replied.
One second later, whatever I was doing, drop everything. Yes, absolutely. It would be an honour to have this here for a while. If you happen to not want it back in a particular hurry, that's fine as well. I'm not going to be complaining.
Well, I don't like seeing them like, I've got, Colin McRae's car at Bewley. I like people to see them. If I just put it in a storage and it's under a cover, and I just thought if it's here, then, I know this is one of your favourite ever cars and you enjoy it. And I can see it on your videos. As if it's,
for sure.
Well,
we haven't worked out exactly where it will sit, but it's certainly going to be looking very nice amongst the other bright, colourful cars here. We should probably also talk about the Vantage.
This has been my sort of dream to build or be able to produce a car that I wanted. I mean, I said before I've owned, a lot of road cars. Started off Mini Metro, Golf, then went to Subarus, and obviously over time, I think we added up about 140 road cars because...
That's crazy. 140 cars.
Well, any money I earned, I spent on cars, and all the rest I wasted. So that, cars are just me. I just 24/7 cars. But this car was, when it first came out in 2005, I remember paying overs to get one because I really love the shape. I think when the Vantage, and I'm an Aston Martin fan.
Yep.
And I remember it coming out, but I remember it not being great to drive. I'd come from an E46 M3, and I'd had a 22B Subaru as well at the time, and it wasn't as good. And I thought, well, can I improve it? And so the first thing we've done was we're taking weight out, so we're under the weight of a GT8 now.
Okay.
With only one carbon.
This is a V8S.
Yes, so this is a 4.7S. I started with the 4.3s. The first one I've still got at home is a prototype car. The second one I sold in like the first day, which was green and bronze. And then I've just been working on this one because the suspension's taken me a couple of years to really get where I want it. So I've now got a bespoke in-track suspension that's built for the car. The engineering's done by Colin McRae's ex-engineer at Subaru, who was a rally driver as well. He won the championship with Colin, Richard Burns and Petter Solberg, so he knows a thing about suspension, so he's helping me. This is a GT4 splitter from a race car.
Yeah.
And what then inside, so this is a Vantage concept bonnet from Geneva. So when that come out, and this was, the V12 is slightly different. It's got sort of a more rounded here.
Yeah.
And then what I thought was I'll expose the carbon, and then we've still got to finish this. Has got to be lacquered. And then inside, we've took a lot of weight out with the lightweight battery, the seats, changed the gear lever, which made a massive difference. The gear lever's tremendous in there now. It's actually a Porsche gear lever that I then made into working with Aston.
Okay.
So you see, and I've got lots of different colours of them. And then the pedals, the accelerator pedal, we changed for heel and toe, and we adjusted them. It's been really, really exciting. And it's really great to drive, which, it is worrying when you're investing a lot. But when you get, in-tracks have been great. These are Apex forged alloys, so the lightest alloys you can get. Quite a big offset on them. And then I've got a rear spoiler in development now, which I can't wait. A sports exhaust, but not too loud, not as loud as the GT8.
I mean, the GT8 is obnoxiously
really loud, isn't it? And
I still to this day wonder how they did that.
And then the inside, I want to do like a retro Porsche interior, but I haven't started that yet. So because there's no cup holder, I want to try and design one and put some inlays in the seats and just have some fun. This is what I enjoy. If I can be doing what I enjoy, then I'm winning all the time. So.
Yeah. So the idea with it, quite literally, is to take a car that you love anyway, the Vantage, but to make it what is perfect for you and therefore is going to be perfect for other people as well.
Yeah, and like the first one I resprayed in Lamborghini blue Vafis, so people could respray them in any colour they wanted. They could make it personal. I had a feeling that car prices were going to drop and supercars were going to drop, and then I could buy Vantages quite cheap and people could do cars and coffee with a nice valued car. Yeah. That was but the prices didn't drop until sort of 6 months ago. So now I'm in a position where I could get a 4.3 V8 Vantage for under 20k now, which was happening before. Yeah. But they rose up like everything else.
Isn't it crazy that, like you just say, a 4.3 can be had for under 20? My 4.7 Roadster is worth like 40.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of car for the money.
Massive. And if you look at, the EVs coming out now being 40, 50,000 to buy, it's a lot of, it's a lot of car, and you've got an Aston Martin. The badges, I've just put these on just to show people, but these are all being made now. I've got a company making them. I've really struggled to find people to do badges. Yeah. And I've taken a lot of criticism for that, but I just had to have something to say it's a CTR, but that's not finished.
To let people know what it is, it's work in progress. It's your development car, quite literally.
This was a pheasant from road testing.
Oh, really?
So it went, the last call, we've just finished, and it went bang straight in the butt.
It happens.
Yeah. But no, I love the midnight blue. I love the stance. I'd probably...
It's quite fun that you've brought that here in midnight blue after my DBS, but also, completely random story, when the 4.7 V8 Vantage S launched, do you remember it launched in cobalt blue? That was the original launch colour, which is my GT8's colour. That was the reason I spec'd it.
Right.
The reason I spec'd it was because when the 4.7 or the V8 Vantage S launched at the time, I wished I could have upgraded to it from my original one. It's fun how that all goes in circles. Anyway, the V8S is here now.
Well, I recently test drove it with the KW suspension against a GT3 Touring, and I think we were really close. But now I've done this suspension, it's difficult because it's difficult to say to people because the GT3 I know is such a good car. But I love Aston Martin, and there's a feel when I go out in it, people are like, wow, I've seen, whereas the Porsches, my wife says every Porsche is the same, but there's a good feeling about this car. It's like, it's like with your cars, when you have cars and they give you a feel-good factor, and you can't rationalise that, but it just feels good.
It's the heart, it's the heart over the head.
And now, when I go through the gears and you just hit the limiter and change, it's phenomenal. And I don't know if that's just because it's lighter or what we've been doing, but it's fantastic. So.
Yeah, well, it's super cool. I mean, that project and what you've done with it is really exciting. And obviously it's not even finished yet, so there's more to come with it.
Yeah, and that's the fun thing, isn't it? You can keep tweaking. Like today I've done this suspension softer for a winter setting, and then I'm going to go to Brands Hatch and do a track setting. Yeah. And then also I was watching your videos on the DBS because I'd like it to go to the Nordschleife and be driven. And maybe just to see, because this is, very adjustable, this suspension. And that's the fun, isn't it, of developing.
Really, really cool. So you've come down with two very different cars today.
Yeah.
I mean, both very dynamic cars, both naturally aspirated V engines, but quite different in the ways they go about it. But
yeah, so my background is more, the rallying. I love Colin McRae's, the Subarus, the Mitsubishis. I've got a very rare Tommy Mackinnon RS as well. Cool. So I built a road and rally collection. So I've got the Ford Focus RS with Colin's car, and then I've got an Escort Cosworth with a podium at Thousand Lakes Escort Cosworth rally car, and then I've got the two Lancias, which I love the Lancias. But yeah, I've just been very fortunate to be able to do well and then enjoy cars.
On behalf of, I guess, everyone watching, thank you for the opportunity to be able to showcase the SV, and who knows what may be in the future.
Yeah.
We have to keep a lid on things for the time being, but certainly some exciting stuff down the line potentially. Yeah, this is super cool. This is a really special thing. It's exciting to see that here. It's like a dream come true for me. It's like I appreciate it. Thank you.
These lights on here, you see how, I don't know if people really do it. If you look at that detail, do you know it's
the Y shapes?
The Y, just in, which is what you obviously with all the Lamborghini.
You know it from the newer cars. You don't necessarily realise how long.
And that's why you've got it here now, haven't you? So you'll see more of the detail as you.
I'm just going to go and pull up a chair and sit and look at it for a while. That's my plan. They do sound good, don't they? I mean, we've had a few Vantage startups today. So Richard is going to be heading off with the CTR Vantage. There's plenty more over on the Challenge the Road channel, by the way, about this car, about the SV, and about some of the other cars from the collection also. It's funny to think that this car is actually from the same year as the V8 Vantage Roadster. It's a 2009, well, market introduction back in 2009, then a 2010 in the case of this, but 14 years old. Anyway, let me step inside, because you always think with these Murcielago doors that there's going to be a ton of space. And yes, it does beep at literally everything. There actually isn't. It's a bit of a squeeze to get in underneath the door. And then when you're sat inside here, firstly, you hit your head on there. Secondly, you're completely offset. The pedals are so much to the left. And of course, at some point soon, we will take it for a run. But for now, we're going to park it up tidily. This feels kind of crazy inside here. Let me start it. And it sounds mad. Firstly, reverse in here is on the dashboard. The next thing you do is that you sit up here. So you sit up on the sill and you look over your shoulder when you're maneuvering it. Right. That is very loud. I'm not quite sure what exhaust Richard has put on it, but I don't think it's completely standard. Anyway, watch out for the doors. We do, thankfully, have somewhere to plug a CTEC into in the engine bay. Now, I can't remember if you pop this from the driver's side or the passenger side. I think normally it's on the passenger side. Is that correct? in here somewhere? No idea. I need to work that one out later. I was looking for something inside here. It's just that, nice and easy. Then pull this up, and then thankfully inside, to make things super simple for us, we have a quick connector down there. So we can grab a CTEC, plug it in, and that'll be nice and happy on charge, which is a good thing. So what you should always do with these things, make sure they're preserved and running as they should, and then ready to start the next time you want to go anywhere. I'll tell you what, this colour looks immense in here. I love it. The Murci is plugged in. We've also popped the F1 show car back here also. Now, typically the Ford GT would be living over on this side, and the red and gold of the GT will look really nice with that orange, but the car is currently in Belgium. It's at the Brussels Auto Show, where I'm about to be going as well for the weekend at the point we're recording this. But this is surreal to me. 14 years ago, almost to the day, I first saw one of these, first ever filmed one of these, and it was the start of all of this. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy thing. This same spec, and I still remember that evening so vividly. Going out, testing a new camera, sticking the video online with no idea of where it would go and how the YouTube world would go on to work. It might not actually be my car, but it's a big thanks to Richard for the opportunity just to sit here and look at it. And very soon, once it does warm up and the weather gets a little bit nicer, to go out and take it for a drive as well and just enjoy what something like that is all about, the passion that went into making this kind of thing, the story behind it, the ultimate of this generation of this model of Lamborghini's V12 history. Such a cool car. I mean, the CTR Vantage is such a cool car as well. Today we have been spoilt with some mega things. Just imagine one day if one of these would be a permanent member of the collection alongside a red 458 Italia. That is the dream. However, as you can probably tell, my brain is not entirely with it. I am about to be traveling to Belgium, which means I need to go and basically have a bit of a rest, catch up, and hopefully make it fine on the road. A big thanks again to AstroAI. Do check out all of the information down below if you'd like to find out more about that, and of course to get a discount on your purchase. That's it for this time though. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!